Hi, I'm Max Spainhour.
And I'm Troy McCormick. Welcome to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. Welcome to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. I'm Troy McCormick, and joining us today is Jonathan Ferris, a Purdue Extension educator out of Fayette County, Indiana. And Jonathan is hosting a QDMA workshop today. Jonathan, tell us what QDMA is for people who don't know and what all we're doing.
Sure. It's simply the Quality Deer Management Association. I became introduced to it a couple years ago through some friends and so forth, and did a little bit of research. And what I found that I really liked about them was their programs are research-based, science-based, very similar to what Extension does.
There you go.
If you read the articles in their publications and so forth, they really are research-based, and I really like that. But simply what they're after is trying to improve habitat for wildlife, not just white-tailed deer, but wildlife.
There's a lot of benefits go hand in hand. If you're putting in food crops or getting the right kind of ground cover for deer, you're benefiting turkey and wildlife, ground nesting birds,
Sure.
A lot of different species. And I think that's what the QDMA planning is all about, is promotion of, they got their 4 principles of trying to look at quality management for deer and for hunters and for the land and all these different things and how they tie in together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's hard to find a wildlife management practice that really is only beneficial to one species.
That's right.
And so by helping songbirds, you also help quail, and you also help turkey, and all sorts of things like that.
Great. Well, what made you want to host this event today?
Well, I've been excited personally about some of the things we've done in our farm over the years, and wanted to have an opportunity to showcase what we have done and hopefully encourage some other folks maybe try similar things and just kind of make them aware of some of the programs that are out there that'll help cost share those. Mm-hmm. And so that's really where I was coming from.
Tell me just very briefly, what's the size of your farm and what are some of the programs that you've done? I know we've looked at short grasses, warm weather grasses, and you've had a burn, but tell me some of these different things.
Well, our farm, as farm standards go, is fairly small. Just under 500 acres in Wayne County, right along a river bottom area. But we have done a lot of different things. Grass filter strips, the warm season grass planting that you saw this morning, where we took an old set-aside field and renovated it and get some more helpful plants in there for the wildlife. We've done tree planting, a timber stand improvement where we went in and actually killed some of the undesirable species from a wildlife standpoint.
To make room for good species to grow, right?
Right. So that's just some of the things that we've done. I've really only been actively involved with it for probably the last 5 or 6 years. I've been very fortunate that my uncle and my mother, who own the farm, kind of let me just play with it and kind of do whatever I feel like, and so I'm really fortunate.
Well, I know you've put in food plots and you've tried different kinds of grasses and all these different kinds of programs, and you're seeing some benefits.
Sure. And I think a lot of the Department of Natural Resources management choices they've made over the last few years, like with the one buck rule, has also really helped us. But we are seeing an improvement in just the quail. This morning we were out there, I don't know how many quail we heard singing, and so that was really exciting.
And turkey.
Yep. And turkey are starting to make an appearance. Yep. So. Yeah, lots of different things.
Well, great. Well, we've got a lot of things to look at. We've got a good-sized group here today, and we've got guest speakers. So we've got plenty to talk about, and I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about the QDMA and stuff that you're doing here on the property.
Great. I look forward to it.
Great.
You can go walk through that CRP, and you'll be amazed at how many deer are bedded and how many deer will be protected out in this stuff when it gets that kind of cover. Rabbits, quail, deer, turkey nesting, turkey poults.
The other day this big.
There isn't a better cover than to have some of that. So if you're going to renovate some of this stuff, we're talking about even the clover area, do that in strips. Keep some of this stuff at least 3 and 4 years of age. Keep it where it's that shoulder high and I can't even walk through it. then renovated and stripped so you have a good component of that, because that's what we're missing. That's the kind of cover in Indiana when we had the farmland fence rows, small field cover, those thick fence rows. That's what we're missing. That's where the quail went. That's where the rabbits went. Whitetails will have fawns out there, and they're fairly protected out there. And so I like that structure. And yeah, you've got some annuals, and you say, I got to control some thistles and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
You can tell me that. I'm not convinced. There's a lot of songbirds, goldfinch, and a lot of songbirds that love thistle. And yeah, if I want a good stand of warm season grass, I don't want thistle in there. But folks, every forb out there, every weed out there, that thistle has its community of animals. Butterflies. If you have people like butterflies, butterflies love purple. And so the thistle flowers. Do I want Canada thistle out there? No, because as a extension educator with ag, we don't want to deal with that noxious Canada thistle. But there's a lot of thistles out there that aren't noxious. But I like that structure. And if you can intersperse these food plots with this kind of structure and habitat, it's as much about space relationship as it is the product. If you can put that in patches and smaller patches, big enough to be viable. You found out in your corn, those smaller pieces of corn were not going to be viable because the coons take it all. But if you'd planted this whole thing to corn, maybe you'd have still had some ears later in the year, at least internal. But just think about habitat as much as you think about food plots.
Stay tuned and we'll be right back with more Indiana Outdoor Adventures. After serving our country, serious injury shouldn't prevent our veterans from enjoying life. Paralyzed Veterans of America works with veterans to ensure that their health care and benefit needs are met, provides assistance with career needs, and offers challenging and rewarding activities. The Kentucky and Indiana chapter of PVA is also proud to provide adaptive sports and activities for its members. Paralyzed Veterans of America depends on the public's generosity to support its programs. Make your donation today and help give back to our nation's paralyzed heroes. The Old Goat Trading Post in Bloomingdale, Indiana offers not only traditional fur hides, hats, and mountain man-like apparel, but beautifully crafted spirit hides. Artistically sculpted from elk, moose, deer, and buffalo hides, they are the perfect wall hanging for your home or vacation cabin. The shaved hair sculpture and original painted scenes combine to create a natural canvas and work of art. Visit www.oldgoattrading.com for more information.
Hi, Jim Donlin here from Westside Bait and Tackle in downtown Indianapolis. We are one of the oldest and best stocked bait shops in Indiana. Since 1951, we've offered a large selection of live baits, including minnows, night crawlers, bee moth, and more, all at a low, low price. We have a complete selection of name brand rods, reels, lures, and tackle. We also have a full-service rod and reel repair center, so stop on in and see us soon.
For more information, go to www.westsidebaitshop.com.
At Timber Sales and Management, we help landowners meet their forest and wildlife management goals through various management services, from timber management to wildlife food plots to specialized plantings. So whether you are managing your property for high-quality timber production or high-quality wildlife production, give Dave Powell at Timber Sales and Management a call. He is a Quality Deer Management Association member, and he promotes quality deer management by being the only land certification program inspector in Indiana.
Lawrence County is an unexpected destination found in the heart of southern Indiana rolling hills, offering recreational landscapes, a rich limestone heritage, and unique outdoor experiences. This area is limestone country, well known for limestone quarries and stone carving heritage. It's also the home of Spring Mill State Park, geocaches, the scenic East Fork of the White River, and underground caverns. Plan your adventure at limestonecountry.com or call 800-798-0769.
Welcome back to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. I'm Max Spainhour, and I'm here with Tom James, president of the Indiana branch, the Heartland branch of the QDMA. QDMA is Quality Deer Management Association, an organization that I happen to be a member of, have been for several years.
It's a good organization.
Tom, it's a great organization. Tom, can you tell us a little bit about it? I know we're sitting here talking on this field day today.
Sure. Yeah, the QDMA basically is a non-for-profit organization that is an information providing avenue for landowners to gain knowledge on how to better manage their deer herd and their deer habitat on their properties. And we have a wealth of experts in the field that contribute to the organization, all with the common goal of improving deer and deer habitat in the United States.
Well, and I noticed the magazine. The magazine is this top quality magazine. I mean, I enjoy reading it every time I get it, and I know that sounds like an infomercial, but it's not. It's something
good.
that I really get, and I sit down and I read, and I've put some of those practices to use. We have several farms, and we're starting to see results.
Absolutely.
And it's not results, people, of building big monster bucks so that you can harvest, correct?
Right.
I mean, this branches out and takes care of all animals.
Everything. And that's a misconception of the QDMA, one that we sort of feel unfairly we get tagged with. It's not about trophy deer management. We are actually striving to balance the deer herd in both sex and proportion to the habitat. We also, in age structure, we want a healthy age structure in the deer herd. All of that in balance with the available habitat. Now, as I said in the talk earlier, as bucks get more mature, they do put on bigger antlers, which is a wonderful byproduct of Quality Deer Management Association, but that is not what we're about. We're about a healthy habitat, a healthy deer herd in balance with that available habitat, and hunter management.
And I'll tell you another thing, I believe. Education of hunters and non-hunters.
Sure.
And that counts as legislators or people that even make the rules for the DNR of all the states. If we educate them on the balanced herd,
right,
where it's more healthy, it's not only better for the hunters, but it's also better for the ecology part of it, where the animals aren't destroying our parks or different areas where they're overpopulated.
Well, the deer herd really no longer has a natural predator anymore. It's you and I. It's the really available predator now. So one of the big things that we have to encourage is the adequate harvest of deer off of a property every year to keep things in balance with the habitat. A lot of people don't realize this, but if all things created equal, you need to harvest 40% of the deer herd off of a particular parcel every year to keep it from growing. That's just to keep a steady level of deer on your property. So it doesn't take long to understand the numbers can escalate out of control really quickly. Once they do that, they damage the available habitat. It takes years possibly for it to recover. So we encourage adequate harvest of deer. Typically it's the female portion of the habitat, or excuse me, of the herd that we recommend the harvesting of, and protection of younger bucks to allow them to reach more of their physiological mature stature and what their genetic potential could be.
And the other part, even though that's what QDMA is striving to do, you don't condone a first-time kid that happens to harvest a six-pointer.
Absolutely not.
Matter of fact, you encourage that.
We encourage them to take any deer that they want. Right. And as that youngster begins to grow and become involved in the program on a particular farm or a family's land, they start to see the benefit of passing those younger deer. Hey, you and I, I'm sure, harvested a ton of those little year-and-a-halfers when we were growing up.
Right.
And we don't want to take that away from another youngster coming up into the sport. We want them to have adequate opportunity for harvest, and if that means spikes the first 5 years or basket racks, by all means. But what we hope is that youngster starts to see he wants to challenge himself to the next level and try to get that more mature deer that's a little more cagey, a little more wary, and a little more elusive to harvest.
And then also we educate those young people so that when they're coming up, they're passing it on. Future generations.
Absolutely.
Because we know what we heard from our grandpas and our dads and on and on. So that's another good thing I think about it.
Quality Deer Management Association is based out of Georgia. It's a non-for-profit organization. We are essentially a information providing entity, and the object is to help you better manage the deer and the deer habitat on your property and give you the resources and the knowledge to be able to do that. Buck ratio, the female portion ratios together in harmony result in a more healthy habitat. They result in a shorter window of the rut, which means females are bred in a shorter window of time. There's less stress. Fawns are born in more of a short window of period of time in the springtime. There's obvious benefits to that to coincide with spring green up and a lot of the advantages of in being in balance with the timing of nature. Everything that we do is based on those four principles. Number one, is herd management. We just talked about that, passing young bucks and harvesting adequate does. Number 2 is habitat management. That may be as simple as planting a small food plot. It could be a prescribed burn. It could be a timber stand improvement. It could be fertilizing your available forage. So all those things work together to better the habitat, to better support the deer herd. Number 3 is hunter management. And we're talking about that as far as discouraging the harvest of immature deer, unless those situations allow, that we talked about with the youngsters, encouraging the harvest of adequate numbers of females off your property, and that's different from every land. One land to the next, so there's no cookie cutter rule for all properties. And number 4 is record keeping or herd monitoring. So we want to see what we did last year, is that making a difference this year? Did we harvest enough does? Did our food plots carry our deer healthy through the winter and allow them to express their best potential this spring? So we look at camera surveys, we look at sightings in the field, we look at data after the harvest, lactation of does, aging of jawbones, a lot of different criteria, and we keep records of that so we can study our land and study our herd and see what's happening from year to the year, which will better allow us to make good decisions next year.
Right. Yeah, more records you have on that.
Joining us this afternoon is Chad Stewart, who's the deer biologist for the state of Indiana with our Division of Fish and Wildlife. Now, Chad, you deal with managing the entire herd for the state of Indiana. What's that like, and what kind of things do you do as the deer biologist for Indiana?
Well, it can be an extremely rewarding yet frustrating job. Okay. You're dealing with a lot of people with different opinions on deer. They can be an incredibly polarizing animal. You got hunters on one end of the spectrum who really can't see enough deer, and you get others who, people who are in communities and have the deer taking away profits from them, and they really don't want to see any deer out there. So it can be incredibly challenging to try and find a happy medium to manage the deer herd that makes everybody happy.
And to do that, you've got to figure out quota bag limits. You've got to think about weapons and different licenses, and we've got changes going on coming up this next season for this year, and we won't go into all of those, but those are some of the tools that you as a biologist use to help set guidelines for deer harvests.
Absolutely. We look at a lot of different trends to manage our deer population. We look at not only the hunter harvest, which is really the most effective way to manage the deer herd, but we look at deer vehicle collisions, the amount of damage complaints. Of course, we take into account the attitudes of not only hunters but landowners as well. And all of those things sort of come together and sort of paint the picture of where the deer herd is at within the state, and even within the counties within the state, and ultimately reflect where we're going to drive that deer herd, whether it's up, down, try and keep it stable. So a lot of those things are continually monitored. We have to keep abreast of new research that's being done in other states that maybe have some sort of application to us. Likewise, we're always looking for various diseases that are on the landscape, and the biology behind that and the transmission behind that we can keep our deer herd safe and healthy.
And you talked about that in your program today, everything from blue tongue to tuberculosis, and fortunately no chronic wasting disease in Indiana yet, but these are things you're monitoring as well.
Absolutely. Every year we're looking for chronic wasting disease, tuberculosis. Look, these diseases are on the landscape, geographically speaking, not too far from Indiana. Illinois's got chronic wasting disease in their free-ranging deer herd. Michigan's got bovine tuberculosis in their free-ranging deer herd. So we're constantly on the lookout and investigating reports of deer that have suspect symptoms that are similar to those that we're following up on. And if it ever is found in the state, rest assured we're going to be in that area during the hunting season, monitoring to see how widespread it is, how far it is, and what the impact will be. And we're gonna hit it hard if we can get it.
The other disease that has been in our state and is probably in our state every year is what we refer to often at times as hemorrhagic disease. The common name for it is often blue tongue, which you guys probably have heard about. And from a hunter standpoint, that's short term, that's probably a more devastating disease because that can actually run through the deer herd pretty quickly. I don't think you guys were quite involved with it about 4 or 5 years ago, but the southwestern part of our state and really the southern third of our state was absolutely hammered with it. And we had an epidemic really throughout most of the country with it, as far as in the Midwest and the Northeast. hemorrhagic disease really affected our harvest.
Well, Tom, I have a magazine here. Can you tell our viewers where they can go to sign up for membership?
Very simple. $30 a year gets you the issues of the magazine, a couple window stickers, a DVD explaining deer aging, and all the benefits, and we encourage you to come to our national convention too. QDMA.com. Very simple. You can get on there for $30 a year. You can sign up online and get the membership, and that also gets you plugged into the local branch. Once we get that database, the information comes to us, and we find out who the local guys are that signed in. You get plugged in with the local branch right away.
There you have it, viewers. Sign up for QDMA. Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you guys.
Life Essentials in Brookston, Indiana provides the products you need to become more independent. Products like our Journeyman wheelchair provide all-terrain access for the hunter and all-around outdoorsman. Every year, thousands of people are born with or acquire disabilities. Whether your special needs are for residential, commercial, agricultural, or just enjoying the outdoors once again, we customize our lifts and mobility products to fit your needs. We're raising you to new heights. Call today and we'll work with you to take back your life. Looking for adventure? Marengo Cave has it all. Explore the underground wonders of Marengo Cave with our 2 easy walking tours, or go on an adventurous cave exploring trip with hard hats and lots of mud. Kids will love discovering gemstones at the Cave Springs Mining Flume. This U.S. National Natural Landmark has been open to the public since 1883 and provides breathtaking views of underground cave formations. Visit us online at marengocave.com and plan your visit today. Sugar Camp Lodge offers some of Indiana's finest trophy deer and wild turkey hunting opportunities. We have 400 acres of woods, marshes, and farmland that provides amazing habitats to hunt. You'll enjoy great meals and accommodations in our beautifully remodeled 1850s lodge. Sugar Camp Lodge is available for meetings, get-togethers, and special occasions. Visit us online at www.sugarcamplodge.com for more information and to book your next hunting adventure. Follow Indiana Outdoor Adventures online with Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Stay up to date with our exciting adventures as we're out in the field filming and meeting new people. From news updates and announcements to Twitter posts by co-host Troy McCormick. Why wait until the next season of shows when you can follow us as we're filming them? Join us online to get the most current news on Indiana Outdoor Adventures. Hillbilly Custom Game Calls, offering the finest and precision-made diaphragm mouth calls for wild turkey hunting. Each call is handmade and gauge-stretched for exact tension each and every time. Select from double and triple reed calls like you've never heard before. We also have an assortment of handmade wood box calls, glass and slate top pot calls, and predator calls that will make us your source for all of your custom game call needs. Look for us online at www.hillbillygamecalls.com. Well, today we're at Muscatatuck National Wildlife Refuge, and Susan Knowles is going to tell us a little bit about the workshop that we've got today. Susan, we're talking about Southern Indiana conservation and all the groups that are doing something in that field.
Right.
What's the name of the workshop and what all are we doing today?
This is our 3rd annual Southern Indiana Happenings Conservation Workshop, where we've brought together anyone that wants to come, many partners, college, agency, nonprofits, landowners doing habitat, in order to tell, so everyone can learn that there's lots of people out there doing good conservation in Southern Indiana.
You know, it's amazing. We've already heard about the Oxbow, the Great Outdoors Project. What are some of the other subjects that we've got on the agenda for today?
Well, we're going to talk about, we have a high school group talking about water quality testing, and they've been doing testing in water streams for over a decade, and their testing showed that there were some problems, and they actually led to the implementation of the Indian Creek Watershed Project, which has provided dollars to help farmers do good, clean conservation for their farms.
How would you sum up conservation efforts for people that really can't quite get a handle on what we're talking about?
Well, it's basically taking care of the land for future generations, for wildlife, for people, to take care of the soil, the air, the water, and plants, and animals so that we can have good habitat and have a good life for us and many generations to come.
I mean, we've got people from state parks, state fish and wildlife, national fish and wildlife, some private organization. Who else is all here?
We've got Sycamore Land Trust, we've got the Nature Conservancy, we've got Indiana Wildlife Federation, we've got contractors that do habitat development, we've got landowners who have planted trees and planted acres of warm season grasses on their land. We have lots and lots of partners here. It's very rewarding. Over 80 people have shown up today for this program.
And that brings to mind, this is not the first year that we've done this.
No, this is our third annual,
right.
and we want to continue to do it.
What made you want to do this here at Muscatatuck? The property's beautiful. We've got obviously concentrated efforts on wildlife and land management, and you're with private lands.
Right. My job is a private lands biologist where we do Partners for Fish and Wildlife, and we do habitat restorations in southern Indiana. I work out of Muscatatuck National Wildlife Refuge. It's an 8,000 acre property with a wonderful visitor center, so what more appropriate place than this to have a program?
Great. Well, let's go back in. We'll join up a little bit more with some other programs, and we're enjoying having the visit here today. So thanks a lot, Susan.
It's good to have you here too, Troy.
You bet.
Thank you.
Everyone's been trying to do conservation for decades, based on a certain model. Well, what if we were able to look over that entire landscape and really come together and make those decisions? And what the LCC can provide is the opportunity to answer those bigger scale questions. Not state by state or county by county, but what are some of the things that are affecting all of us?
The Expo is a land trust that is a all-volunteer organization. It's an area owned by its members. We have about 1,000 acres we protect. And we have taken upon ourselves to go beyond just protecting that acreage and taking it to the point where we are using that as a means by which we can connect the people in the community and the greater community so they can get in contact with nature and learn more about nature.
Would you say that out of today's workshop, the ongoing message of making sure we get the youth involved is important?
It's not only youth, but it's the communities that go with the youth. We have what we call helicopter parents nowadays, and you walk into a trail in the woods and the last thing you see is the kid being allowed to walk off the trail. We need to have more kids walk off trail, and so we need to educate the entire community, but kids are a good place to start.
What do you think your efforts here at Muscatatuck, are there some similar patterns here?
Muscatatuck is, of course, a National Wildlife Refuge, and we're a land that's being held in the public trust by volunteers that buy it up for public donations. But we are all basically after the same thing. We're trying to preserve nature, we're trying to make nature available to people and give them an appreciation of nature they can take with them their whole life.
Thanks for joining us today here at Muscatatuck National Wildlife Refuge. We'll see you next week right here on Indiana Outdoor Adventures.